folks, welcome back to FiddleHed Fiddle Lessons. Now we're going to do the fourth in a series of lessons on how to play chords on the fiddle, how to play chord backup, so you can help out in a group play the accompaniment part. You can keep a rhythm, hold a rhythm while somebody else takes a solo or sings or something. So learning chords will also really help you to hear music better, help you to hear what the other instruments are doing, and give you more options for things you can do while even playing melodies. So I think I said this, we're doing power chords in this lesson, and we're also doing an easy way to do F major and B flat major. So let's start with power chords. And it's a term borrowed from guitar. You play power chords on guitar. Well, you can play them on the fiddle, violin too. And in a nutshell, what's useful about power chords is that it's one chord that could be major or minor. Believe it or not, if you've been following these lessons I've been doing, you already have been playing power chords. In fact, the very first chord I taught, which was D major, as open D and open A, that is a D power chord. So that chord can be D major or D minor, all right? And you may be wondering why. Well, again, I want you to, at least for the rest of this lesson, just trust me on it, learn it this way. And then probably in the very next lesson, I'm going to do some theory lessons to explain a little bit why. I think it's useful for you to just start using the chords, playing them on songs, playing little progressions, and then just to get your ear into it and just the practice of it. And then later I will promise I will do my best to answer the question, why is that a chord? Why is that a D minor chord and a D major chord? So let's go back to it. I want you to now, when you play open D and A, just think D power chord, that is D major or minor. So knowing that, you can play a G power chord really easily, right? There you go. And you can play an A power chord. Now remember, we did A a different way. We did A, which is A and E, but we played first finger on D and open A. It's the same two notes, but the E is on the D string now as D1. That is also a power chord. So this A chord can also be A major or A minor. All right? And then in a similar way, if I put my first finger on G, G1 and open D, we learned that as a D major chord. I think in the first lesson on chords. That's D major. Did I say that's D major? Sorry for the confusion. That too is a power chord. It can be D major or D minor. And then we take this same pattern, we play A1 and open E. That's an E power chord. It can be E major or E minor. So if any of this is confusing, I recommend just brute memorization. Go through and pause the video and play those things, say them out loud. Hopefully you did actually pause the video and really try to understand. If you didn't remember any of them, rewind and just learn those. Okay, go through each one. D major or D minor power chord, for each one that I just did. So going back to the E1, which is A1 and open E. Okay, stay with me now. And instead of playing open E, we're now going to play first finger on D and on A. So you kind of have to place it in between. And this is also an E power chord. We're about to do a song, so hang with me. But this is a harder one. This is kind of hard, I think. You may have to play at the angle to get it right. Get it in tune. So now a cool progression we can do, we can now play O'Keefe slide with this shape. So we originally learned O'Keefe slide, which is E minor going to D major. In the last lesson, chord lesson number 3, we learned to play that as E minor as first on D and open G, going to D, which is first on G, open D. So that whole song is E minor to D. Some order differences, but those are the only 2 chords in it, at least in the version I showed you. And so now we can just play that in a different way. We can put we can do the power chord E, which functions as E minor here, and then lift it, and we have open D power chord. And we can now play the same song with the chord backup, but in a new way, a new voicing. That's a term you might hear down the line, of different voicing. It might be more of a jazz term or something. But anyhow, so let's do O'Keefe slide that way a little bit. All right, pretty cool. By the way, I'm going to do a series of lessons on how to play these chords on specific tunes, and in the upcoming lessons, which I'll have links to some of them below, I'm basically going to just play the whole thing, and then I'm going to play the chords for the whole tune. I'm going to have them tabbed below, and then I'm on my speakers here, I'm going to play with myself playing the fiddle. So it'll be a very useful kind of play along thing for you to do to get this. So stay tuned for that. So anyway, going back to where we're at, we can now do, so we can do O'Keefe slide that way, and then we can also do swallowtail jig that way. So swallowtail jig, same 2 chords, E minor to D. Bum 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 bum, lift it, da 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 da, back to E minor, do 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 to D, da 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 da. So these chords and finger positions will be tabbed in the comments field below, and so we just did and so that's an E power chord. If we put first on G and first on D, the same pattern, we have an A power chord. So that can be A major or A minor. If we do this kind of similar thing going. That becomes, depending on what song we do, but say we do the fiddle tune, Growling Old Man and Woman, kind of an old time tune, then this would be A minor going to G major. Because these chords are such little fragments of bigger chords, it means that they can function as different chords, kind of like the way that these power chords can be major or minor. And so, but anyway, it can be a little confusing, but if you just play it, you'll kind of hear it in context. If you play a progression, and especially if you hear the tune with it, it'll make a lot of sense musically. So that's why I really, before even talking about the theory, I want you playing it. I want you playing chords along with songs if you can. You can even look up guitar chords and see if you can, play like some song, like a Taylor Swift song with these chords. Anything to just start to get the feel for it and the practice of it. All right. So, and then one last note on power chords. You can do that. You can now play any chord. In Western harmony, there's 12 tones. You can now play all 12 major keys and minor keys, believe it or not. it's technically a little bit of a challenge, but it's kind of simple mentally, because basically any note you can play, like open D, or if you play low 1, that's an E flat. So you play low 1 on D, low 1 on A, you have an E flat power chord. So that's E flat, major or minor. We just did E, which is D1 and A1. So that's an E power chord, which you did, that's E major or minor. If we put down low 2 on both strings, then it's an F power chord, and so on. 3 would be a G power chord. All right, so I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, don't worry about it, because you really have, like, if you have just the basic, the first position and the open Ds, and you know that those are major or minor, you're pretty golden for most fiddle music, because most fiddle music is, I don't think there's anything in E flat, or, you know, the main keys for fiddle music kind of follow the open strings. You have G, D, and A, and then fewer tunes, but some in C, F, and B flat. So, and then the related minor keys. But anyhow, so a lot of talk. I mainly want you playing it. That's the take-home message. If it doesn't make sense, just memorize them for now. It'll pay off, and just start playing them on tunes. I'm going to be giving you more lessons on it. All right, so that's power chords. Now we're going to move on to an easy way to do F major. All right, so and I'm going to say, just to be clear, this will not be a power chord, and all this the theory of why will be explained in a later lesson. So to make an easy F chord, you just put your low 2 on D and open A. All right, so it'll sound like, I'll play the single notes. And by the way, I mentioned this in earlier chord lessons. It's worth saying again that if the chords are trouble, or you're having trouble with them, it's a really good practice is to not play the double stop, but to play single notes. Maybe that'll help you tune it a little bit, and then play the double stop. I have a video called Single Double Stop Exercises, and it's basically kind of doing that practice of doing. Really good for adding, if you can do that and do that with kind of fluidity, then you can add these really easily to lots of tunes. Do cool patterns with single notes and double notes, but it also is just a good way to make your double stop sound better. I'm having trouble with that. Okay, just do single notes. It seems makes sense, right? It's just simplifying it. So again, that's our F chord. And now we're going to take what we learned, we're going to integrate everything we learned today and do the song Shady Grove. We're going to do chords for it. So the chords for it are in the comments field below, along with some links. But basically we got D minor is our first chord for Shady Grove. And remember, this is a power chord, so it could be major or minor, but in context, it's going to sound like D minor, and that is in the progression, and then especially when the tune is put to it. So we start with D minor, then we're going to play C this way. C is open G and D1. And then back to D minor. And then our F is going to be the F we just learned, F major that is. Then C, and then F, and D. C, F. So I'm just going to play the tune and play the chords maybe once or twice. And yeah. One, two, three, four. D minor, C, D minor, D minor, F, I'll sing the melody now. That's Shady Grove. I'll probably do another whole lesson short for each tune, including Shady Grove, where it's just playing the chords, not a lot of talk, and you can play along with it. Okay, last thing we're going to do is, so we just learned F. If we take the same pattern, but we play it on G and D strings, so low 2 on G and open D. Then we have a B flat major chord. And so you can play like B flat. Can't think of a song offhand that has B flat, but there are a few. Not as many, of course, like I said, as G, D, and A. But it'll be handy for you to know that. So just learn that one. And then lastly, while we're at it, you can take the same shape and play it on the A and E strings. Low 2 on A and open E, and you have a C chord. All right, so very cool. I think that wraps it up. Thanks for your patience. Just kind of winging it as usual. I have some idea what I want to talk about, but just trying to make sense of this. Feel free to ask questions. If I can answer them, I will. I'm going to keep putting up some. This is actually kind of I'm going to do the next couple lessons might be on theory, chord theory. Right now, if you've made it this far and you've done these first 4 lessons, I think you have the basic chords and you can play a whole lot of fiddle tunes. You can just start getting in there and playing them, and that's what you have to do. I would do that a lot before even thinking about the theory of it. And then when you go to learn a little bit of the theory, it'll make it easier to comprehend. Okay, so long people. Thanks for watching the video. Love you.
Excellent.